Okay, good evening, everybody. So today we will continue our discussion, um, technical and professional writing, and we will start with the word affinity. Affinity here refers to the attraction of two persons or things to each other. Affinity should not be used to mean ability or aptitude. So when we say she has an affinity for problem solving, this is wrong. You have to say she has an aptitude for problem solving. So please just go to the dictionary and check the meaning of affinity and aptitude, so it will be very clear for you. A grammatical agreement is the correspondence in form between indifferent elements of a sentence to indicate number, person, gender, and case. So a subject and its verb must agree in number. Look at this example. The design is acceptable. The singular subject design requires the singular verb is. So that's why we have subject-verb agreement. The new products are going into production soon. Now here, as you can see, the subject here is the plural subject. Products require the plural verb are. A subject and its verb must agree in person. I am the designer. The first person regular subject I requires the first person singular verb I am. And they are the designers. Here we have they are. The third person plural subject they requires the third person plural are. I think these are basic things that you have to be familiar with. A pronoun and its antecedents must agree in person, number, gender, and case. The employees report that they are more efficient in the new facility. So the third person plural subject employees requires a third person plural pronoun they. So why do we use they? Because we have employees. Kay McGear will meet with the staff on Friday when she will assign duties. So here why we use she, because the first subject here is a woman, and that's why we use she. It's a feminine pronoun here. Okay, so subject-verb agreement. Subject-verb agreement is not affected by intervening phrases and clauses. For example, 1 in 20 hard drives we receive from our suppliers is faulty. Now you ask yourself, why do we have suppliers, which is plural, but then we have is? Okay, should we not have a subject-verb agreement? The question is that, where's the subject here? The subject is one. One is the subject, and that's why we use is here. The verb is must agree in number with the subject one, not hard drivers or suppliers. The same is true with nouns fell between a subject and its verb. Only one of the emergency lights was functioning. Here again, was goes to the subject one, not the lights. Lights are plural, but the was is not a subject of lights, it's subject of one. Each of the switches controls the separate circuits. Why do we use controls with the S? Because simply each is a singular. Note that one and each are normally singular. Indefinite pronouns such as some, none, all, more, and most may be singular or plural depending on whether they are used with a mass noun, most of the oil has been used, or with a count noun, most of the drivers know why they are here. So these indefinite pronouns, it depends on what the noun that comes with them. If it is a mass, then it has to be singular because oil is a mass. But if it is a count noun, it means that you can pluralize it by adding s, then it has to be plural. For example, mass nouns are singular and count nouns are plural. And other words such as type, part, series, and portion take singular verbs even when they precede a phrase containing plural noun. Look at this example. A series of meetings was held to improve the product design. Here, a series of meetings we use was because a series, talk about something as one thing, not as different things. A large portion of most annual reports is devoted to a promotion to corporate image. Again, here we use is because portion is singular. And look at the beginning of the sentence, by the way. We have the indefinite article a, and a refers to a singular subject. Modifying phrases can obscure simple subject. For example, the advice of 2 engineers, 1 lawyer, and 3 executives was obtained prior to making the commitment. Now you ask yourself, why do we use was, although we have 3 executives? Simply was goes to the subject of the sentence, which is the advice. Here we focus on the advice, not the advice of the engineers, 1 lawyer, and the 3 executives. Okay, an inverted word order can cause problems with agreement. From this work have several important improvements. The subject of the verb is improvement, not work. So here it is, the construction here is somehow confusing, but you have to understand that the subject of the sentence have come several important improvements. Improvements is the subject of the sentence, and that's why, you know, we use have instead of has. Okay, the number of a subject complement does not affect the number of the verb. The verb must always agree with the subject. The topic of his report is employee benefits. The subject of the sentence is topic, not benefits. Okay. A subject that expresses measurement, weight, mass, or total often takes a singular verb, even when the subject word is plural in form, such as subjects are treated as a unit. For weeks. 4 weeks is the normal duration of the training program. Why do we use is, although we have weeks as a plural noun? Simply here we deal, or we treat weeks as a singular period, a period that is considered as a unit, okay? So 4 weeks is just one block, from week 1 to week 4. This is one thing together. We treat it as a singular. A verb following the relative pronoun who and that agrees in number with the noun to which the pronoun refers to its antecedents. For example, steel is one of those industries that are most affected by global competition. So why do we have steel is singular, but we have industries is plural, and it is preceded, or it's followed by that. So that's why, you know, we use are because simply are refers to industries. She is one of the employees who are rarely absent. Again, why do we use are? Because simply we have employees. The word number sometimes causes confusion. When used to mean a specific number, it is singular. A number, or the number of committee number was, the number of committees numbers was 6. Now, why do we have used was? Simply because the subject is number, and number is singular. When we used to mean an approximate number, it's plural. A number of people were waiting for the announcement. So why in the first example here, if you look at the first example, a number of committee was 6 here. Here, because we talk about something specific. We talk about the number of the committee, which we say it's 6, okay? But we use plural when we talk about a number of people, when we talk about something that is approximate, okay? A number of people. We don't know how many people, you know, how many people participated or were part of the announcement. That's why we use plural. So if it's a number, if it's specific, then it's singular. If it is not specific, if it is approximate, then it's plural. Relative pronouns who, which, that may take either singular or plural verbs, depending on whether the antecedent is singular or plural. We explained this, I think, before. He's the manager who seeks the views of others, and he's one of the managers who seek the view of others. Why do we use, in the first example, we use seeks because a manager is singular, but the second one, managers, is plural, and that's why we use seek. Some abstract nouns are singular in the meaning, but plural in forms. So here, if you look at mathematics, news, physics, economics, all these words end with S, and you think that they are plural, but we define them and we deal with them as singular, forms. For example, we say mathematics is essential in computer science. Linguistics is the study of language. Physics is the study of, scientific equations, etc. and etc. Some words such as the plural jeans and scissors cause special problems. The scissors were ordered last week. The subject is the plural scissors. A pair of scissors is on order. So here, why in the first example is plural and the second example is singular? Simply because scissor is plural, okay? And that's why we use where. But in the second one, the subject is pair, not the scissors, and that's why it's singular. A book with a plural title requires a singular verb. Basic medical laboratory techniques is an essential resource. Now, we have techniques as a subject, okay, and it's plurals. But here we don't talk about the techniques, but we talk about the whole book, the book as an entity, okay, or as a unit, and that's why we treat the book as a singular, thing. A collective noun, committee, faculty, class, jury, used as subject takes a singular verb when the group is thought of as a unit, and a plural verb when the individual in the group are thought of as separately. Okay, so these verbs, you have to take them into account. If you have committee, faculty, class, and jury, if you treat them as a unit, then it has to be a singular one. If you treat them as single, as different people, then you have to use plural. For example, the committee is unanimous in its decision. Here they talk about the committee as a unit, as a block. The second one, the committee are returning to their offices. Here, if you look at the example here, the committee are returning to their offices, they refer to every individual in the committee who are performing the action, which is they are returning to their offices. And that's why, the first example is singular because they take a decision all together. The second one is plural because every member of the committee is returning to their offices. A clearer way to emphasize the individuals would be to use a phrase. The committee members are returning to their offices. So sometimes, if you want to avoid confusion, instead of using the committee, just use the committee members or the faculty members. This, helps you, deal with it as a plural form. And then we have the compound subject. A compound subject is composed of two or more elements joined by a conjunction, such as and, or, nor, either, or neither, nor. Usually when the elements are connected by and the subject is plural and requires a plural verb. For example, professional writing and translation are prerequisite for this position. Here we have writing and translation are joined together in a conjunction, so they become plural because we have two things. One exception occurs when the elements connected by and form a unit or to refer to the same thing. In the case, the subject is regarded as singular and takes a singular verb. For example, bacon and egg. Okay, bacon and egg is a high cholesterol meal. Here, when we use bacon and egg, you eat them together. So the bacon and the eggs are together. We look at them as one dish, as one unit. That's why we use is. Our greatest challenge and business opportunity is the internet. Okay, so again, here we treat this as one block or as one unity. A compound subject with a singular element and plural element joined by or nor requires that the verb agree with the closer elements. So look at this example. Neither the director nor the project assistants were available. Now, why do we use were here? Because project assistants, what comes after nor is plural, okay? What comes after nor is plural. Now look at the second example. Neither the project assistants nor the director was available. Here we use plural after nor. Why? Because simply the director is singular, that's why it has to be was. So what comes after nor, if it is singular, then was. If it is plural, then were. If each and every modifies the elements of a compound subject, use the singular verb. Every manager and supervisor has a production goal to meet. Each manager and supervisor has a production goal to meet. So if you delete each and every, then this has to be have. But if you keep each and every, then you talk about these two things as separate, people. So each manager and each supervisor has a production goal. Each manager and each supervisor has a production goal. A pronoun antecedent agreement. Every noun must have an antecedent, a noun to which it refers. See also pronoun reference. When employees are hired, they must review the policy manual. The pronoun they refers to the antecedent employees. Again, so, if you have a subject that is mentioned previously, then the pronoun must agree with the subject that is mentioned. Because we have employees, then the pronouns that we should use here is they. Gender, a pronoun must agree in gender with its antecedents. Mr. Sweevet in the accounting department acknowledging his share of responsibility for the misunderstanding, just as Mrs. Barclay in the research division must acknowledge hers. Now, why do we use his in the first example and hers in the second example? Simply because Mr. Sweevet is a man and Miss Barclay is a woman. Traditionally, a masculine singular pronoun was used to agree with such indefinite antecedent as any one person. Each may use or go as he chooses. Because such usages ignores and excludes women. Use alternatives when they are available. One solution is to use plural. Another is to use both feminine and masculine pronouns, although that combination is clumsy when used too often. So, here they say that instead of using, for example, every employee must sign his time card. So instead of using his time, and in this case you exclude women, okay? So the best way is to change this sentence into plural. So instead of saying every employee, you say all employees must sign their card. So simply you avoid sexist language, or you avoid, marginalizing women by pluralizing the sentence, and in this case, you don't need to say his, but to say their. Another way to do it is to use his or her. For example, every employee must sign his or her time card. So here we add her just to make sure that we include women in this sentence. Do not attempt to avoid expressing gender. Do not attempt to avoid expressing gender by resorting to a plural noun when the antecedent is singular. You may be able to avoid the pronoun entirely. Every employee must sign a time card. So simply here, instead of using their or his or her, you just use a, and in this case, you don't need to identify the gender here. Avoid gender-related stereotypes and general references, as in the nurse she or the doctor he. What if the nurse is male and the doctor a female? See also biased language. So some people, whenever they use the word nurse, for example, a nurse should work in a hospital. She is more competent. Now, why do you use she with nurse? That's a question, because you cannot say that all nurses are women and all doctors are men. So that in this case, it is a biased language, and you have to be very careful about this. Number. A pronoun must agree with its antecedents in number. Many problems of agreement are caused by expressions that are not clear in number. Although the typical engine runs well in moderate temperature, it often stalls in extreme cold. Why do we use it here? Because simply we talk about the subject, which is the typical engine runs in a well moderate temperature. So typical engine is singular. So it has to be it. Why do we use they often stall? This is wrong. So we change it from they often stall to it often stalls. So the agreement. Use singular pronouns with antecedents everybody, everyone, unless to do so would be illogical because the meaning is obviously plural. See that also everybody and everyone. Everyone pulled his or her share of his load. Everyone thought my plan should be revised and I really couldn't blame them. So here again, you have to be very careful. Either you use, his or her, and in order to avoid, gender bias. Collective noun may use singular or plural pronouns depending on the meaning. The committee agreed to their recommendations only after it had deliberated for days. So here, why do we use it here, which is the italicized one? Simply because we talk about the committee as a block, as something, as a unit. But the second example, the committee quit for the day and went to their respective homes. So here we deal with the committee as different members because everyone goes to different home, right? So here we deal with it as a plural, and that's why we use their instead of using its, because we cannot say the committee quit for the day and went to its respective homes. You have to use their here. Demonstrative adjectives sometimes cause problems with the agreement of number. This and that are used with singular nouns, and these and those are used with plural noun. Demonstrative adjectives often cause problems when they modify the noun's kind, type, and sort. When used with the nouns, demonstrative adjectives should agree with them in numbers. This kind, these kinds. That type, those types. So again, you have to be very careful about this. Confusion often overlaps when the preposition of is added this kind of and these kinds of, and the object of preposition. I think we explained this before. So this kind of retirement plan is why we use plan, because this kind. If it was these kinds, then we have to change this. Compound antecedents. Compound antecedents joined by or nor is a singular if both elements are singular, and plural if both elements are plural. For example, neither the engineer nor the technician could do his job until he understood the new concept. Neither the executives nor the directors were pleased at the performance of their company. Now, the question here that you have to understand